Southwest, they got a different terminal. Southwest, JetBlue, they got another terminal. No, Southwest got a terminal all to themselves. I don't know if Frontier any good. I watched them. I see American Express. They don't really fly like that. Well, they don't ever fly one. They don't really fly when I'm here. I think I've seen them land maybe 4 times since I've been working here. Spirit be leaving a lot. It can't be that bad. Frontier, I see now. I don't know if they cheap or not. Not American Express. I'm thinking about a damn card.
I knew what you meant. I knew what you meant.
United Airways.
I knew what you meant. That's why I didn't say nothing, baby.
Oh. Welcome back to Daytona. The plane ain't here. I can't see a motherfucking thing. I don't know if that big bird's bitch here or not, but I gotta go check in. I'm on my second down. But we not the one or something. I'm on my second one. Need more people in here now. Yeah, when they just not that deep. It really is. What's that? A storm? I gotta wait. I don't know if I can see me get this shit out. I don't even care. This shit was deep. You know what's a bad idea?
What?
Say what?
What's a bad idea, darling?
Eating? No, I got nigga ice. I ain't even walking to the job. I'm walking. Oh, we have one plane. Oh no. Ooh, baby Jesus. This old ass man. I hope he ain't his damn belt. It's okay for a female to be in hers. It's not okay for a man. It's just not. Hey, honey. I just saw it in. I don't got no damn uniform. I don't got shoes. I don't got nothing. There's only 4 cars there. 2 of us are loaders, which is not good. Maybe people coming later. I'm
Probably so. They called him one. Who knows?
Like what?
I said, who knows?
Yeah. Girl, I almost fell in the car. What you think? I know you like having that.
No, I get it.
I don't feel in
My balance is off. I'm feeling some weird places, so that's why I ain't say nothing. I can understand it.
weird places. I'm always tripping on violence.
Uh-huh.
That's like I get dizzy for a quick second. When I was younger, I asked the doctor, was that normal? She said, yeah. She said if I stay dizzy, she said if I get up too fast, I tell her sometimes I feel like that.
Mom, when we gonna start eating? You can go ahead and ask someone to make some french fries to go with your burger, but you can go ahead and eat your burger. What the burger is? Look inside that pan on the look inside that pan. I hope my children don't fuss and cuss while I'm doing this.
Don't leave you alone.
No, not in they're not in the room bothering me.
Mm-hmm.
You know how that goes. Okay, so it's about that time. The exploration of motherhood. Okay. They got this new setup. Share to your page. I think I shared it before. And you coming in with the
Oh.
Wait. I can't eat noodles. I'm hungry. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our live session of the exploration of motherhood. Welcome, everyone. So today, like I just said, we're going to do the exploration of motherhood, what it means, how it feels, the real, the honest. So, we have a couple of mothers who have been up, down, and around the world as far as things that we've been through with our children. So Miss Danielle and Miss Jai Flint. And yeah, we're going to do this thing because, we're going to have a good time. So welcome, ladies. Sorry about that. First question of the night. I'm going to start off with Miss Danielle and it's going to then go to Miss Flint. So the first question is, what is motherhood? What is the definition of motherhood to you beyond the biology of it? Danielle?
Wow, motherhood. Well, good evening, Facebook and everyone. Good evening. We were talking earlier today, and I had jokingly said motherhood is like having 16 full sets of fine, expensive china, juggling it all in the air, and you can't drop any of it, and none of it can break. And whichever way the wind blows, you still have to keep it all in the air. It's the nurturing, it is the teaching, it's really difficult to sum motherhood into just a few short words, but it's all encompassing. It's just all encompassing. Jamila?
Motherhood is an adventure, to say the very least. It is an adventure. Um, in my journey, I have learned to be and stay a Tinkerbell, to uh, constantly learn how to live in this Neverland environment where, yes, sometimes I got to be the pirate, sometimes I have to be the bad guy, but to also encompass the fun and what it looks like to enjoy life, and balancing being the disciplinarian and being the fun parent. It is a never ending journey. It is
Yes.
a never ending journey, that's for sure.
Okay. And Miss Kayla, welcome to the show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So our first question of the night is what is the definition of motherhood to you beyond the biology of it?
When it comes to motherhood, the main thing that I think about is nurture and support, because that's what mothers do. They nurture and they support. However that support comes out and however that nurture comes out is different for each mother. Every mother nurtures and supports their child in a different way. Every mother treats each individual child differently. I didn't understand it until I seen it in play, where you can talk to one child a certain way, but you can't talk to another child a certain way, because sometimes they just won't comprehend that. And that's okay, because each child is different. They're little humans, they're little individuals. They have their own emotions, they have their own thoughts, opinions, um, and everything. And it's just a lot. And so how motherhood is defined is, outside the biological of it, is those women who have taken up the mantle of raising these kids, and some of them, like Michelle said, are not biologically related to them, but it's the women who have taken on the responsibility of nurturing and supporting the children who come to them, who need it, who want it, and who ask for it. Because you sometimes you don't choose children, sometimes children choose you.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's like, as women, we're like, we don't need no kids, we don't need any more. um Sorry, the dog almost took the door off the hinges. We don't need any more. We don't need any more on our plate. But here comes a child that says, "Hey, I need you to help me in this, because my mom isn't there, or my dad isn't there, or my auntie isn't there, or my guardian really can't do it." And sometimes they need that additional support.
Okay. So my own definition of motherhood in a lot of cases beyond biology, like just to kind of piggyback on what Kayla said, is just that is partially is being the protector, the provider, the nurturer, being what that child needs, and beyond having a child. If you could be a mother and not actually physically birth a child into this world, but once you love them beyond no other thoughts, without concerns for yourself. You're just taking to them and making sure that they're okay at all times, and staying there through the good, the bad, and the ugly, because sometimes it's ugly. um you just That's what it is. You're making sure they get what they need, not necessarily all the time what they want, but what they need to live in this here world day after day. So let's jump into the real good of it. When you think of motherhood, what are the major challenges you think of when it comes to motherhood in general? Now, it may not be your own personal situation, just in general, what do you think of when you think of motherhood, um, Flint first, and Yale second, and then Miss Kayla.
Well, I think the biggest challenge is remembering that you are raising different personalities. I think myself and watching other friends in the beginning, when you first become a mother, you have a child and you want to raise them, and you say you want to raise them to have their own thoughts, their own mind, and all of this, and then you find yourself. I was saying this to my mother today. You find yourself raising yourself out of that child, and then you have to remember, oh, wait a minute, they all have their own personalities. I have 4 biological children, but they all have different personalities, even though there is a dash of me in them. So now I'm trying to raise all of the, I won't say bad, all of the challenges that my mother had with me. I'm trying to raise all of those things out of my child, um, and allow them to have their own personalities. And when you, I think as mothers, we have to remember that these are different personalities from feel to go to have their own. That is the reality of it. And in some ways and in some cases, as your kids grow, you realize and recognize, and they realize and recognize, oh, everything mama said wasn't wrong. But it I think the biggest challenge is just recognizing that they do have their own personality.
Big challenge motherhood um, would be that, and I don't know if everyone experiences this, but kind of like an underlying constant worry of, what if I mess up? What if that one decision I make that one time, what if it's that decision, if that is the point where it can change my child's life forever? I know I feel it like a lot. And I think that's one of the most crucial things. Yeah, that would be it for me.
The challenges of being the challenges of motherhood comes at different ages, I believe. When you are a mother to an infant 0 to 12 months, the challenges are more, can be personal, such as postpartum, which doesn't get enough clout, which doesn't get enough recognition, because it is real and it does happen to mothers. And postpartum lasts longer than those 12 months as well. But then the toddler, they're walking, they're learning themselves, they're learning about their hands, their feet, and all that. And then it's the preschool age where they're learning their ABCs, their 1, 2, 3s, things like that. And then you're entering kindergarten and school, and then it's middle school where they're going through puberty, and then high school where their hormones are raging and they're just losing their mind. So, and then they go into adulthood and they are navigating dating and all of these things. And so there's a challenge in motherhood at every stage, because at the end of the day, motherhood doesn't stop when your child turns 18. Motherhood continues throughout their life, even beyond. It's always a different things that you can go through, but specifically, I don't have any biological children, but I did volunteer in the school system, and I am a social worker. So a lot of people think that I am a mother, but I'm not, because it's like, how you hey, but I cannot, and it's all about your approach, how to say things to children, because some children aren't receptive to yelling, and children are smart these days. You really have to, and this is why you don't do this, because this will consequences, and not just because I said so, because it happened. You can say because I said so to a millennial and we'll leave it alone, but you can't say that to Generation Z and beyond, because they need an explanation. That's what I'm learning. So the challenges of motherhood is ever changing, is ever evolving. You learn your child every day. It's not that, oh, I know my child. It's no, you learn something new about your child every day. You learn something new about yourself as a mother figure every day. Um, as a I, I don't have I have cousins, and so all of my younger cousins, they say Kayla is crazy. And looking back on it, I was, I am, because I said, if you don't get in my car, by the time I put it in drive, you are getting left. And they knew I was serious. And I wasn't even 20 at the time. I said, if you are not in my car, by the time I put it in drive, you are getting left. I ain't never seen 3 teenagers get their life together so quick, because they knew I was serious, and I was walking to my car, and one had one shoe on, one was putting on their pants, running out the door, and my aunt just looking at them like, she really gonna leave y'all? And they like, yes, Kayla will leave us here. I'm like, y'all should have known, but it's. And then I had another little cousin, she was acting up in a restaurant. She fell, and I said, that's what you get. Now sit here and don't act crazy. And she sat there and didn't act crazy, because it's all about how you approach. It's all about how you approach. But the challenges of motherhood is, which approach do I take with which child?
Okay. So yeah, everyone, those great points, and especially that last one. You have to be very. The biggest challenge is knowing which punishment or praise or reward for which child goes where, and what requires my attention and what requires me to let go, especially with as their age changes and everything that's going on in this here world. But you do have to have some set boundaries in place. And it's a TikTok where the little girl is hitting her mama. I was like, let me tell you what would have happened. My mama would have snatched my soul out through my chest, and I wouldn't be here, or I'd be a part of the wall, good part of the wall. In the same sense, like she says, certain generations feel like you're not. Listen, my grandma raised me. I don't care what y'all say. There's a difference between abuse and a spanking. Test me. Ask my kids. Ask the other two on the ladies on the panel. I don't care where we at. I don't care what we're doing. I don't care who around. I will show. That's what my mom.
Miss Michelle, did you see the TikTok challenge, the shut up challenge with the kids?
My kids wouldn't try that with me, because I'd have
telling parents to shut up. Now the crazy part is, it won't even just us. It won't even just us getting these kids together. I seen some non-melanated people getting their kids together, and it blessed my soul. You hear me? Blessed my soul. This man was in uniform and said, you say that again, I'ma beat you. And he was in a whole police uniform. I said, sir, you can't say that.
No, I saw country father, non-melanated. Like he was done for work for the day. He was in his recliner in the double wide trailer, you can tell. And he was taking up his body took up that whole hallway. The sun was down the hall. And all I know, the point of view, you can see the man get up, but he shoulder to shoulder darkened that whole hallway coming down the hall.
And it was the Puerto Rican man who the mom couldn't even get to the baby in time. He had the baby hung upside down by his whole ankle. I said, what in the world? And then it was a man on a ranch. I don't know if y'all seen that one. The man on the ranch, he stopped everything and was running across the field towards his child. And they said, it's a prank. And then just know that some of these kids didn't make it out. Some of these kids just didn't make it, okay? They just didn't make it. And then it was
I
It
am
was just
thankful that my
and
son has not crossed that
and it
path.
was one guy he couldn't get out his his recliner quick enough. He went like I happen to have problems, but just imagine that this is a tissue box. He couldn't get out his recliner quick enough and threw the tissue box at his son and was like, "It's a prank." And he was like, "Don't you ever talk to your mama like that?"
One, I think had
and then some of them just knew that it was a prank. It was like. They was like, "This is a prank." It was like, "Don't even play like that. This is a prank. You are not really talking to me or your mama like that." Like, they was like, I know you know better. It was just it just blessed my soul, you know. And then I was in Harris Teeter and a non-melanated person got their child together like a black person. It blessed my soul. Snatched them up so quick. I said, "You ain't have to snatch them up like that." I feel bad for little baby. You ain't have to snatch them up like that.
No, what blessed my soul
Snatch
about
them up quick. And the son knew what it was.
switch.
I bet you ain't take his hand off that buggy.
The one that blessed my soul the most, the one where the mama switched out. The son was into that. He told his stepdad, "You not my daddy," and said, "Shut up." You looked up and you just saw something go across the camera. It's a break. Too late. He was hit.
No, it was the one where the girl told the stepmom that you not my mom, and she tripped and was like trying to crawl into the room, and he had baby by the ankle and was like, "Don't you ever." And then there was a guy who pulled over and was about to get out the car and be like, "Don't you ever." I was like, "Okay, don't you like this is not a safe prank for kids. This ain't a safe prank. It ain't safe for you out here in these streets. It just ain't safe. I'm sorry." I just had to talk about that. It just ain't safe. Don't like we just knew some of us just knew not to do that. And then you had another try on African and Caribbean parents. Y'all know y'all was about to die, right?
Yeah, that's the one with the dad lifted the shoe up, the mom called it and went to work. That was your choice. You made a bad decision.
You made a bad decision.
But I mean, it's a lot of challenges that you see even in the chat. I'm seeing what people are talking about. The challenge is trying to relate to the child when you were raised two totally different ways. Because mom was raised in a strict atmosphere, and kids raised in a less restrictive because we understand what it's like to feel like we're bound up. So we made every item and everything to do better by them. And you have to, and then especially with there are more diagnosed mental health issues in this situation that you have to be a little bit more mindful of. Don't get it wrong. You have to know your child well enough to know the difference between my mental health issue and I'm just being difficult on the house and work within those parameters.
Right.
Being said, the next one, what are the greatest joys and accomplishments of motherhood in your opinion? We're gonna go Danielle, then Kayla, and then Jamila.
All right. Greatest joys. I mean, there's all those little moments that are really actually, when you look back, they're not really little moments. They're really big. Like when they happen to us, they're big moments. Then when we look back, they're little moments, and then they become big moments again. Anyway, but I got something that sums it up. Wait a minute. Let me get it. And this was given to me today for Mother's Day. This is the biggest joy to me. It says, "Everything I am, you helped me to be." My child recognizing that the person they are, I've helped him to be. I think that's the biggest joy, is when your child is saying, "Well done, Mom," in the midst of you feeling as if you're failing. I think that's the biggest joy of motherhood for me. Because I can only think about for right now. I can't think about like the big picture. So yeah, that's the biggest joy for me.
Kayla.
I thank you, Danielle, for mentioning that because I posted on my personal page some scriptures, and the one that stuck out to me was, "Her children rise up and call her blessed." And that's really true, because when you truly are working in your purpose as a mother, your children, whoever they are, they do rise up, they grow up, and they do call you, and they bless you, and they do call you blessed. And it's not even the fact that they come to you and say, it's always the fact that they come to you and say, hey, you blessed me by raising me and being the way that you are to me, and I wouldn't be who I am without you. That's always great to say, but but showing it in your actions of doing good, being a great person, and being a humanitarian to the best of your ability is what I consider being the joys of motherhood. Seeing them grow and to overcome their obstacles and relish in their accomplishments. That's the joys of motherhood to me. And like Danielle said, it's the little things. It's the little things. Them, like Michelle said, them having a mental illness, but them coming to you and say, today was a good day. Today I had a good day. That's the joys of motherhood to me. Or them coming to you excited that they got an A in a subject that they struggled with. That's the joys of motherhood. Um, the joys of motherhood is watching these kids flourish and grow and become little tiny adults in their own way and making their own decisions in their small way. When I was working in daycare, I just I had to talk to this little girl that like she was a mini adult because the kids were overwhelming her because she had such a great spirit. Everybody wanted to play with her, and I had to teach her boundaries. I said, listen, I know you are getting overwhelmed and you're crying right now, but you have to establish your own boundaries. It's basically what I said to her. You have to let people know that like I will play with you, but you have to let me play with these people first, and then I can play with you because like you're overwhelming me. And when I saw her actually put it into motion what I said to her, however she said it, I said, however you say it is how you say it. And she said it the way she wanted to say it, and they got it. That was a proud moment for me because it's like no matter how old you are, you can set boundaries. No matter how old you are, you can stand up for yourself. And no matter how old you are, you can speak up. That was one of my proud moments. One of my proud moments was having one of my kids become fully potty trained. That was so fun to me. Like, yes, like I can deal with accidents, but no more pull-ups. Let's do that. Or a child learning how to read a full sentence that they struggle with. That was a joy of that I experienced. And just somebody coming to me saying thank you for everything that you did is something that really made me happy. In my youth group, the boys would come and say, she would punch us in the chest. And I said in front of their parents, I will punch you in your chest. And I have, because you shouldn't be acting up. Because if your parents don't get you, I will. All of them are successful. So punching them in the chest kind of worked. um, I'm thinking back, not one of them have went to jail. So, they, not one of them are, in the ground. You can't save everyone, but the ones you save, it makes you proud. So thank you, Danielle, for reminding me of that. As a daughter, definitely, her children will rise up and call her blessed. And so on this Mother's Day, I honor you, Danielle. I honor you, Jamila. I honor you, Michelle, as the mothers that you are, because y'all are amazing women. And y'all are Black women raising Black boys and Black girls in this world where society is kind of against them, but you are raising them to exceed the expectation. And y'all are exceeding the expectation. Y'all are raising great humans.
Jamila.
Well, thank you, ma'am. The joys of motherhood, I would agree with both Kayla and Danielle. There are those, those small moments that you're like, oh my God. Um, and my kids range in age. So my oldest is 24, my youngest is 11. And one thing, because my son is 7 years apart from my youngest daughter, so there's this significant gap. But with my girls, and still today with my son, I let them know my job as a mother is to raise productive, respectful, responsible members of society. One of the biggest joys that I have been able to experience just today was watching my daughter be a mother. That and raising this happy little boy. And he smiles and he laughs and he wants to love on his mom and he wants to love on his grandma. And it it's a joy because not only is she is doing it with a smile on her face. She is comfortable calling me and saying, "Hey, mom, what about this? What about that?" Um, and taking the wisdom that I have and where when you're a teenager, you don't know my life and let me live my life, and now you need me, um, but the joy in it is seeing her succeed, seeing that my 19-year-old decided she was going to take a gap year. She went and she's living her life and she's succeeding. I don't have to worry about, are they homeless? Are they in abusive relationships? Because they have very strong minds. They get it from their mother. They do. But they have very strong minds, very strong opinions. But the joy is seeing each one of my children become these brilliant human beings, brilliant, responsible, flourishing in their own individual, unique ways. That that brings so much joy. And for me, even as even as the girls were growing up, it always became a very humbling experience. I birthed 4 children. I can genuinely say I have over 30 children because their friends call me mother. Their friends are, "Hey, mom, I wanted to ask you something," for various reasons, whether they felt comfortable enough or not to speak with their parents, or they don't have their parents in their lives any longer for various reasons. Um, but I have over 30 children, and I love them all to pieces. And I'm grandma to some of their children as well. So making sure that when Kayla was speaking about rising up and calling her blessed, it's important. Number one, it spoke volumes to how my kids felt and saw about me, that they were like, "You know what, maybe you could talk to my mom about that." That's number one. And then them trusting me enough to know that I am not going to replace you as my child. I can't replace you, but this child needs love too, and that mom has enough love and the capacity to love, to be able to say, "These are my birth children, but these are my babies too." So over the years, I have been really honored to bless and be blessed by several children. And that in itself is a constant joy, is a daily joy for me.
Okay. So piggybacking on Mr. Miller, I'm the same way. My kids, we've been through a lot together. They've seen their mom go through a lot, and those little accomplishments. My oldest was adopted. We adopted him when he was 16, but he my kid. Can't nobody tell you he will have you believing it that I was 10 when I had him, if you allow him to, because he's mine. But he's also the kid that when I come home, I look up and the whole basketball team is at my house. I look up, you hear, "Hey, mama, hey, baby, hey, mama, well, hey, baby, hey, mama," and I'm in the kitchen. I'm like, wait, I've got a couple of extra "hey, mamas."
Yep. Yep.
And I come out the kitchen and look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All
And
right.
you're looking up at all of them.
Right, but I'm also the one that if I reach down to scratch my foot to clear the whole house because they didn't know if I was gonna throw a shoe or not. See, they knew I love them. If you in my house and you came across the threshold, you were in my kingdom. So you will be given the same rewards and consequences as the children that I pushed out. And the ones that I have my last name, guess what? I love you with all my soul, but I will fight you. I will tell you about you, your girlfriend, the girl you think
Mhm.
you're gonna be friend. Let me tell you all this, because what I'm not gonna do is have that nobody told me attitude. But the accomplishments when they come back and say, "Hey, mom, thank you for it." My son, my oldest, came come back and stay with me for a few minutes, and when he did, with his brother and sister who are significantly younger, he had my back. When I was sick and down and barely just functioning, "Ma, go do this. Got them. You need a moment. That's fine. I'm help." But he took the time to make sure that I was okay. Even now, mommy took your medicine. But what did the doctor say? That's when the accomplishments come. Even and I have the 16-year-old who gives me the devil at times. But I've had that moment where he comes in. I was sick as a dog. He came in. He said, "Mom, what you need?" He fed his brother and sister. He said, "My mama go outside now. Tell me the neighbor that you in here." I looked up and she came in here. She says, "Girl, I'm just coming to check on you. Here's some medicine. The kids at my house." I said, "How did you?" He had went, put the appropriate village on notice that I was in that house sick. And he's like, "I'm going to go play, but I want to make sure she okay." That's when you realize you did something right up in the piece. Even when they giving you all the devil of the world. I did something right in there. Somewhere along the line, something stuck. I and even now with the fights we go through now, every once in a while he'll switch into this kid that I know. It's like, okay. And I'm the house. I'm the one that says, you can bring somebody, my mama, this is such and such, like Jamil say, such and such has XYZ. Come on, baby, what's wrong? Cause mama gonna help. Cause just like I tell them, I rock orange for y'all because y'all ain't got nobody else to fight y'all battles. I love you. But the greatest accomplishment is just watching them talk and function. When your kid asks you, "Can't, mommy, are we going to church?" and reminds you to come on, let's go to the house. You like, "I'm getting dressed right now, baby. I'm on the way. Let's go." All of those
Right,
things matter.
right.
So, next part of this journey, what what has motherhood taught you about yourself? What have you seen of motherhood that made you sit back and really take some self-evaluation? And see, for Kayla, who hasn't had a child yet, but you see everything, what, especially in your job, what have you seen? What in motherhood has made you stop and really think, do I do that? Do I need to change this? What has made you take stock in yourself? um we're gonna start with Miss Kayla first.
What has made me take stock is parents not listening to kids. And so it made me sit back and start listening to these kids because they don't lie. Um, you, Michelle, you triggered a memory in me. My part-time hustle was driving for Lyft. And so I had to turn into somebody's auntie because we riding in this car for 30 minutes, so you're gonna talk to me. And so she said she started talking and she said, "I'm going to my boyfriend's house and like I ain't never met the rest of his family. I only met his mom. And this weekend I'm meeting his grandma and all his aunties." I said, "Your boyfriend set you up for failure on Mother's Day weekend?" I said, you meeting all the matriarch, you meeting the rest of the matriarchs of the family on Mother's Day weekend?" And the baby pale. She pale. She said she melanated, but she pale. And she straightened her hair. I said, "Baby, you look white." I said, "Listen." I said, so I had to give her the rundown. I had to turn into an auntie and say, and be honest. It caused me to be honest with her and say, "Listen, this is what we have to do. We have to speak. We have to do this thing and we have to do that." And I had to listen to her and not judge her because this girl is 19 years old and she's making these decisions. Like, do I judge her or do I tell her that what she's doing is wrong? No, I tell her, I guide her in the right way and to like be responsible in your actions and your decisions and be who you are authentically, but also be respectful. So it was a really interesting dynamic. And like I passed her boyfriend's house And he sent me a message talking about bring her back. And I said, my bad, I didn't see the address. So let me bring you back. And I said, she fine, she is safe. But it was just that dynamic where it's like instantly she like, because I was so open, she trusted me enough to tell me a little bit of her story. And I was able to ease her as a woman and ease her anxiety as somebody who is meeting the matriarchs of their significant other's family. So it was really, really interesting. So what made me take stock is to sit back, listen, observe, and be patient. But the listening part is key, because you have to listen to these kids, because if you sit back and listen with a non-judgmental ear, you will hear everything. You will hear between them lines, because they're like, wait, let's fall back on this. Let's discuss this. Like, where did this come from? Who did this to you? What? How would I have wanted to reacted to if I said this? And that's what made me, and that's how I want to react, because like we can, as mothers, as parents in general, we can establish discipline and boundaries without being judgmental and harsh. And we have to be honest with these kids, because if we're not honest, if we don't give them the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, then the world will give them the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So in my mind, I'd rather my kid, my little kid, my niece, my nephew, whoever comes to me for advice, to get the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth for me, rather than them getting taught that lesson in real life, because real life will humble you. And the worst thing to see is a kid that you nurtured, that you put out into this world, be humbled by something that you could have prepared them for, and something that could have been not prevented, but something that the blow could have been lessened had we warned them or prepared them for whatever lesson was coming. Because sometimes we see the lessons coming, but we can't prevent them from falling, but we can pick them back up. That's what I've learned. It's okay to let them fall. It's okay to let them fall. Kind of like riding a bike. Sometimes they have to fall to get it. And so, but the thing is, when we fell off our bikes, our moms and our dads was there to pick us up, brush us off, and say, you can do it.
Okay. Danielle?
I'm going to need you to repeat that question for me, please.
What part of motherhood made you do self-evaluation, made you really look at yourself and change some things because of either what you saw from your child or from children around you? Just what caused that self-reflection in this? When you realize your kid picking up some of your habits, just any of it.
Okay, so a big thing for me is that I was already heavily involved with raising and nurturing children when I had mine. So I know they weren't like mine that I gave birth to. So in that aspect, it wasn't like, oh, I can't do this, or oh, now where I had to totally change my life, or things of that nature. So like year or so with DR, an intelligent young Black man whose vocabulary is phenomenal, who also is very logical, who also asks lots of questions, who also is very specific. I think characteristics in terms of lots of questions, very technical, exact. And I'm like, baby, yeah, sometimes you can't do those things. Like, you know what that person just meant. Like, you don't know how many conversations we have in the car before getting to church, before getting someplace, that I have to say, now listen, before we get there, I know when me and you talk, we go back and forth and we ask these questions. We may go back and forth and correct in our dialogue, we were critiquing a movie, and we may correct each other or whatever. Okay, so when we go over to so-and-so's house or whatever, can you please not talk through the movie? Because me and you do that. Like, that's what we do. So I have to take these things of his that are just like mine and now try to teach him how to use them differently, because no one taught me and I didn't know, and I thought it was always okay, or they were trauma responses later on in life. So now I have to figure out how to take those things of mine and those habits and how to teach him to use them so he can function properly. Society. So that is like the thing. So it's like when we're home or when it's just me and you, it's okay. Turn the switches full blast and turn them on, because we can do it. But when we're around other people, we gotta, yeah.
The challenge. The challenge for me that made me, you can have that, is when you're on a live and your son wants to talk to you anyway. um, okay. In all seriousness, the challenge tends to be, for me, it's different because I was raised by a silent generation. I was raised by a baby boomer and had very strong influences in generations past. Can't raise these kids the same way. One of my best friends says to me all the time, this new way of parenting doesn't work. In some ways, he's absolutely correct, and in some ways, we got to make it work. And so the challenge for me is finding that balance, because I'm old school. I will snatch you up. I'm old school. I will throw something at you. I'm old school. I have a belt. I'm old school, But I also recognize, especially when my oldest turned 5, I was like, oh, wait a minute, this little person has words. So we're not going to start swinging instantly. We're going to talk first. And when the talking isn't working, then we have to take drastic measures. So there is that challenge for me. And this is what I found out about myself, that I had to take all of the things that I learned from my elders and my ancestors and balance it. One of my children, we're estranged right now. She don't talk to me. And she told me, she said, well, Mom, you were mentally abusive and verbally abusive. And I had to sit back and think about that thing. And I said to myself, well, self, if that means that she has a job when she decided to move out of state, and she has a place to live when she moves out of state, and she is a responsible member of society and doing no harm to herself and doing harm to no one else, I will take that. No matter how much it hurts hurts that she doesn't want to talk to me, if that was the outcome of me being verbally abusive, I'll take it. I will. I'll take it. Um, the only thing that I have at this point is I cover her in prayer constantly, cover her in prayer. And, I might get a snippet here and there from her siblings. The other thing that I'm grateful for in that challenge is that I taught my kids from the very beginning, y'all got it. At some point, mommy's going to transition in life, but you guys have to be the cornerstone and the backbone to each other. My kids are close. They don't always like what each other says to each other or whatever. Hey, they might even get together and jump up on me and feel like, well, mom, you're not being fair. No, my job isn't to be fair. My job is to be a mother. That's what it is. But they recognize, the older they get, they recognize, oh, yeah, what she's saying makes a little sense now. I have one that has one more year in school, and for years she was talking about she wanted to go to culinary school, and now she's talking about something different. Okay, let's talk about this thing. We have to make sure that you are a productive member of society. So those are the challenges. And I myself changed my major two, three times. I changed my major. So, it's one of those things that's to be expected. But again, it's recognizing that you have all of these different personalities that you have brought into the world and balancing them out. And I recognize that sometimes I have to cry in front of them. I reject people telling don't cry in front of your kid. Sometimes I have to cry in front of them. And sometimes, yeah, I do have to go to the bathroom and have a moment to myself where, you know what, my feelings got hurt. The things that I've learned about myself is I'm constantly praying over my kids, constantly praying over my kids, constantly trying to make sure that they are making the right decisions for them, not for me. We get into a place and space where if we have made some decisions in our life that we wish we could take back, we try to live vicariously through our children. That's not our place. They have to make their own mistakes. Even if you wave that flag and say, hey, I've been there, I've done that, and that's not a good idea. They still have to learn and they have to make their mistakes because that is their life's journey to live. And hence the reason we are constantly covering them, in whatever spiritual and or religious facet you may be in, you constantly cover your children. And that is the biggest thing that I've learned about myself, that even in those tough moments, my mother taught me how to pray. My grandmother taught me how to pray. My great grandmama taught me how to pray. My great great grandmama taught them how to pray and cover. And that is why I stand in, okay, they're gonna be all right. No matter what the situation is, they're gonna be all right. Even when it feels like they're not gonna be all right. Because even as an adult in my womanhood, some days I don't feel like I'm gonna be all right. But when they tell me I'm gonna be all right, I have a whole attitude about it. But then I turn around and say the same thing to my kids, you're gonna be all right. But it's because you keep them covered. You make sure that you're doing absolutely the best thing that you could possibly do. And if you are daily, constantly learning what it is that you can do to pour into your child, to feed into your child, or children, whichever one need you at that moment. I tell my kids all the time, I always tell them that, each one is my favorite. But what I've realized is my favorite is whichever one needs me in that moment. That is my favorite. And that's a reasonable portion of love in that moment. So that's the one thing that I've definitely learned, to pray and to love on the one that needs me in that depth in the moment.
Okay.
I had a
Self-evaluation.
I was going to ask a follow-up question to that comment that Jamila just made. Is it because it was something so important that she has said. How do you balance that and you said whoever needs you the most at that moment. What if there's always that one that is constantly in need? How does that balance so that the others don't feel neglected? And I'm not necessarily saying to you, it's really something that I know there are mothers that experience that. They have, especially, I'll give you a scenario. I'm the youngest of two. So if your oldest is going through something, and then you just have the other one, or if there's multiple children, you have one child who's always in need of something, whatever it may be, whether it's rebellion, whether it's special needs, what illness, whatever it is. How does a mother balance that out so that the other child or children does not feel neglected?
For me, my youngest is the one who needs my attention the most. He is the one who is, I need the attention, I need mommy's time, I need her to listen to me and only me, and that's how it is. So what I've learned is to make time for the others. He has an active father who is involved in his life. So if that means next weekend he will be with his father, so I can go and spend time with my oldest daughter. She needs mommy for a moment. This weekend, my youngest daughter came over for Mother's Day. She needed mommy for a moment. She lives with her father, which honestly was a huge blessing for me. In the beginning, it didn't feel like it. I'll be honest. Motherhood is a trip because we feel like we're supposed to raise the kids, period. It was a trip. But she lives with her father, and it was a tremendous blessing for me. And I am grateful for the bond that they have, but she needed some mommy time. And we sat up and we watched a great show, and we had fun together and things like that. So I recognize that I have to intentionally take those moments when I recognize it, and it is my responsibility to recognize it. But I also tell them, listen, if you feel like I'm not talking to you or communicating with you, you're grown and you have your words. I'm big on you have your words. Let's use them. Hey, I need some time with mom. I got you. And you make that time. That's when I know that's my favorite. That's the one who needs me. We sat up until 3 o'clock in the morning, binge watching a show.
I've always
Just
said that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I've always said that. I say that to my friends, but also it's important to say it to kids too, Mr. Miller. It is okay to cry, but you have to tell me what you're crying about. And I heard that from a fellow mother. She said that to her. I think she said, it was my coworker. She had I think at the time she was five going on 6. And she said, my child is always crying, always whining. And she was like, she's just so spoiled. And she said, I told her, it's okay to cry, but tell me what you're crying about. Use your words. And she, and that stuck with me because it's like, we always tell kids, like, you don't have anything to cry for, but they have, like you said, these little humans, they have words. And so we have to tell them that it's okay to use their words, and that they won't be silenced like the past generations were when it came to expressing our feelings. So it's not like you said, we can't raise these kids the way we were raised. And that's very true. But sometimes we have to mix the old with the new. It's like, hey, you can tell me what's wrong, but it's your tone. Watch your tone,
That part. That part.
It's like you can talk to me, but you can't talk to me any kind of way. You know what I'm saying? And it's like other people, and it's a different dynamic. It's like some people say, oh, my mom let me cuss around her. Yeah, your mom lets you cuss around her, but not at her. Yeah, like Miss Michelle said, she'll throw a shoe. Like I'm biologically, I am an only child. I have one guy in my life who I call my brother. He's been in my life for over 10 years now. And I told him growing up, I told him this at 14. I said, if you ever go to jail, do not call me. I will not write you. And so in that aspect, it was like, I'm the youngest, but I'm raising you, sir. No, we're not going to do this. And so it's a different dynamic. But now seeing him as a parent and seeing his girlfriend parent their son is totally mind-boggling to me. She's a wonderful mother. Shout outs to her. It's just y'all are really triggering some memories. And my friend, she had, it's 5 of them total. It's 5 of them. And when I met her, 4 lived with her. It was 4 of them that lived in the house. And so when I first met her little brother, he stopped me at the door and was like, Mama told us that you can't let people come in the house. I done broke the law. I done snuck on a bus. I'm not even a bus rider. And I done snuck on the bus with a fake note, right? Because I called my mom and told her, I was like, Mom, yeah, they're gonna let me ride the bus. Then my friend forced a note, rode the bus, and I get to the house, and this little munchkin of a little boy with long hair not gonna let me in the house. From that moment on, we fought each other. And so when my mom finally met her mom, she said when she walked in this door, she mine. And Lord, that lady meant that. So like when she was issuing butt whoopings, guess who was included? But she would laugh at me because I would go and sit down in the corner and be like, I want no parts of this. I'm in the corner. And she'll be like, Kayla, why are you in the corner? I said, I don't want no parts of this. I don't want no parts of the butt whooping that you about to render. Nope. Nope. And we were just playing with her, and she came out with a belt. And she said, I ain't never seen you run that fast. I said, I done jumped over the couch. I said, I don't want no parts. Because she said, when you in my house, you mine. And so she treated me like I was hers. And them belts hurt. They hurt. Sorry. But yeah.
This conversation is real. This is what motherhood is. When you tell parents, give them the disclaimer when they walk across the threshold, they my child. With this, like I told you earlier, saying rewards and consequences, mind it. This taught me a different level of self-evaluation. Grandma raised me, so certain things you did when adults was talking, you walked out the room because you was gonna get knocked out. Had you coming out mouthing off, and there's all these adults, they're gonna stop, they're gonna look at you. Now that's your warning. That's your 1, 2, 3, and 4th warning. When her head turned, you need to be out the door. Because if not, that's your behind.
Wait, somebody got a 4th warning? Somebody got a 4th?
The one was
somebody made it.
I have 3 strikes.
Somebody made it to the 3rd.
I have 3 strikes.
Tell me who made it to the 3rd.
That was one warning that covered that encompasses everything. You can call it the 5th if you want to. Now, one time. But she only turned one time.
Now, if it was 4 women, now if it was 5 women in the room, 1, 2, 3, 4 turned around. Number 5 ain't have to do none of that. So that was the warning. So you got 1 warning, but you got 4 warnings in one. Is that how that happened? When she
because that was it. That was your first and your last. And baby, you better get your ass out of there.
Listen, the look, okay? It's about the look.
That look, you don't. Your generation just may understand, but in my generation, wherever your mama was, when she cocked her eye or tilted her head, you knew I'm gonna tell you something. She ain't say a word.
My mama got me in Walmart for getting lost on accident.
Yeah, because it was your fault for getting lost.
It was my fault for getting lost, but I thought she was on one aisle. But no. I was very responsible. I was a responsible little child. And when I couldn't find my mama, I went to the front and had her page over the intercom. Apparently, that's not the thing you do. That's not what you do.
No. That means the people know. That means the people know that she done lost her child. You did not stay where you were supposed to stay.
That's right.
Even though you were supposed to stay with her, and she kept walking, and she forgot you were there.
And listen,
it was still your fault.
Guess what? Nobody. First of all, this was in the 90s, early 2000s, so everybody wasn't that sensitive. But that's number one. Number two was I was in Georgia. What people don't understand is like until the late 90s, early 2000s, public school systems in Georgia could still paddle you. So my mama hitting me in Walmart ain't do nothing to none of these people getting their groceries.
They look at you like, and kept right on moving. Mm-hmm. You didn't have a belt, but don't worry, somebody had her back.
She had a hand, and that's all she needed. My mama had a hand. She said, you know when I'm gonna get you, right? I said, when we get home? She said, no, I'm gonna get you right now and commenced. I said, I ain't never got lost again.
So you were in trouble for getting lost?
Toe behind, toe up at. That was mama's rule. If you act up right here, I'm gonna tell you right here. I didn't mess with St. Francis because I was not crazy. I saw her drop my uncle. He's 6'4", 230. She dropped him. Nah, dog, I'm good. I'm straight. And I'm
listen, and then I got a red face. I got a red face. Still in Georgia. I got a red face. And so on my little report. And so at that time, both my parents, you know, they were working full time or whatever. So I had a babysitter in the neighborhood, and at that time, she had 3 or 4 children of her own. So what she not gonna do is play with me. So she said, so she saw that little red by her. Then my mama found out I got a whooping by her, and then my daddy found out, and he gave me a couple licks too. I got 3 whoopings in one day. I ain't never get a red face again. I don't know what I did to get that red face, but whatever I did, I ain't do it again because I ain't want that smoke.
So while we talk about punishments,
the smoke.
While we talk about punishments and what punishments look like, okay, let's talk about it, mamas. We're the protector, we're the provider, we're the everything. But when we have to dole out those punishments, how bad did it hurt you? What was your punishment style? Did it vary per child? What say you? Look at Kayla. Go ahead, Kayla. Go.
My punishment as I got older was taking the cell phone. I got a cell phone in 6th grade. Very privileged for when I was born. So my mom would take my cell phone, but I'm an only child, so everywhere I went with her. My mom was like a tiger parent. She didn't really let me go to other people's houses. And so she took my cell phone, and so I was like, I just gave it to her. And so I was supposed to be on punishment for like a week or 2. I didn't get my phone back for a month because I forgot I was on punishment. She forgot I was on punishment. She forgot what she put me on punishment for.
I thought you were going to say she got so annoyed with you probably saying stuff to her because you were everywhere with her.
Nope. I didn't ask her for that phone back. She gave me the phone when we was riding somewhere in the car, so I forgot I had a phone. I forgot I had a phone. Honestly, I forgot that you was paying for this phone service. I forgot that. Thank you so much. Like, and then she realized that punishment really didn't work. So, when I started driving, she would take my keys, and then I gave her my keys and my license, and that only lasted for a night. I walked in and I said, "Mom, are you gonna take me to school?" And she said, "Grab your keys, grab your license, and go to school." And so.
Y'all privilege. Oh my God, talking about privilege.
You told me to walk the street right there. You take that sidewalk and go directly.
Because I really was that kid that took responsibility for my actions. So like I'm not gonna pout about it. And so I wanted to go skating one night, and my mom was like, "No, you're not going skating." I said, "Okay." And I went in my room and I watched my little TV. And she was like, "Are you mad?" She came in my room and was like, "Are you mad that you're not going to skate?" I said, "No, I'm sitting here watching TV, minding my business." Like, I didn't say that to her, but, because, the whole shoe thing.
The tone in your head was real, though, huh?
It was very much real. I was like, "No, I'm not." I was like, "No, I'm not upset." You said, like, your no means no. I'm not going to try you. Like, your no means no. So like that's one thing that I learned. But my punishments, they were creative, but but I think my mom has, like, she just talked to me. She just yelled. And so like that got to me too. Like, like, let's just talk this out, because she said, you need your car to get to school, and your daddy not gonna get up to take you, and I'm not gonna get up to take you because I get up early in the morning already. And so you need your phone so I can know where you at all times. So it would be like, just go home and come straight home. Just go to school and come straight home. That's it. That would be my punishment.
All right, Danielle, give me your thoughts.
So punishments now, punishments during COVID are more difficult. To some degree. Generally there's not much my son gets in trouble for. It's like, your room's not clean, give me all your electronics until it's done. Okay, it's done, here you go, you get him back. Like, there really isn't anything to punish him for. There's no kids that he goes to hang out and play with here. If him and Tamika's kids want to hang out, we don't punish them. They don't count. Like, our kids hanging together don't count as punishment. Like, so that's all they asked to do. So I guess now some of it's kind of more difficult. It's like, Tamika, what was it at one point before COVID? Can we go to the library? Nope, not this weekend. Like, that was a punishment we were given at one point. Like, they had to skip the library. Like, that's the kind of kids we have. Now some of it is like, it's the devices. And that drives him crazy. That drives him crazy. After about a good hour, I can usually get what I need done from him. I don't have to do any of the spanking now. Like, I know the stuff that I needed him to do and learn, he did at an early age. So I don't have to do any of that hands-on and laying on of hands now. And I'm just, keep me in prayer. I'm just praying that I don't have to lay hands as a teen. I might, but if he continues the temperament he has, I won't. However, if the personality, if the part of me that's in him comes out anymore, this serves as a public service announcement to all my sisters. Start the if y'all start seeing any more signs of my personality in my child, start the bail fund now. So then I might have to lay hands on him. But right now, I don't think I'm gonna have to. But his biggest punishments usually are like technology.
Mm-hmm.
It's technology, and then even then, it's like, he does art. I can't take his art from him. So how can I take his tablet from him if he's doing art, which is his life's dream and his business? Like, it's a fuzzy road.
Jamila.
Well, I've had to learn that punishment has to be given individually. With my oldest child, I could literally tell her she can't have a hug and she would lose her shit. She would. She was a loving person. I don't want to hug you right now. But mommy, I want to hug. No, no, thank you. When you got your life right, then we can hug. That was punishment. Now I'm with Danny on this one. If I can't pray, me out of him real tough, it's gonna be a laying on of hands. Because my, my son is real suburban hood and he doesn't know I'm a thug. So, but punishment. Okay, so my son, he wants to be a professional gamer. He works really hard at getting out there and doing that thing. So what I have learned is that if I take that away from him, I can get a lot done. Well, you just don't care about me being a gamer. I do. However, you got to be able to multiply and divide so you know what your money looks like. You need to be able to read the contract for endorsements that you're being offered. So let's get that work done first, and then we can be a gamer. And until said time is done, we're not doing we're not doing it. So I've had, and he's had those I want to buck up on you moments. Sweet Jesus, I still have a swing in me. Um, Y'all just take up the offering, okay? I love him. I love my son, but when I tell you that he has a lot of me, and with the other two, with my two middle ones, um, it was pretty pretty much as simple as you can't have your phone right now, or you can't go to said place right now. Um, and I've also learned, thanks to Miss Arthur Michelle, that if you just turn off the Wi-Fi or change the password, it'll bless your life.
But my knucklehead will sit there and keep trying to figure it out and problem solve.
Listen, you can do it all day, every day. And I also have a key on my bedroom door. So if I'm going somewhere and he's not supposed to have said electronics, just lock that door. He doesn't have to know I locked the door, but you know. But yeah, it yeah, discipline is raising you out of your kids. It really is. That's what disciplinary actions are, raising you out of your kids, because you have seen, you're looking at what they're doing and you're like, hey, I did that before. This is really dumb. And I want them to not do it. And they want to do it anyway. And so now you're like, oh, well, okay. I'm gonna have to take the same measures that my mama had to take with me. Okay. Okay. And it, depending, I will say this way, depending on the severity of said actions,
Yes.
that statement, it's gonna hurt, it hurts me more than it hurts you, is a justified statement.
Very much so.
When you have to take that laying on of hands real serious, like, and your feelings are hurt because you said time and time again, please don't do that, please don't do that, and they decide to do it anyway, and it goes to an extreme that was completely unnecessary. It does. When you have to lay them hands. Yep. And listen, that song with my son, Try Jesus, Don't Try Me, is the anthem of the house.
And I think what's happening is kind of duplicated to me, is that whole putting hands on me thing, I didn't like it. Like, I saw it and I was like, oh, hell no. Like, nah. And so Darnell, there's like stuff he'll say, and I'm like I've done the, the infamous ear pluck, or the pluck right in the middle of the forehead. And then he got to a point where he was like flinching, like he had battered wife syndrome. And I'm like, dude, I'm not abusing you. Will you stop? So I'm like wondering, okay, is he going to get to the point where he's going to like do what I did, which is I would say something right to the line and then retreat. Like my mom tells me now, she was like, I would say things right to the point where she would be like, if she says one more word, I'm gonna choke the shit out of her. Pardon my language. I'm sorry. That I would get right there and then I wouldn't say anything. And then she was like, okay, I couldn't do nothing to you. And then she was like, you'd say something right to right. And then you would, and I think he might be like that. And that's the part that scares me, because maybe that one more word, I think I'm a few less words now. Like, I don't think.
Well, y'all know, I'm more face. So when my kids make a certain face, I have to stop myself from lunging.
So let me tell you something about me and punishments. And each one of y'all have had your experience with me and punishments. Wait a minute. Daddy. Danielle.
I was looking for mine.
I came in.
My child stole it.
When first time she saw me have to chastise my youngest, I have to touch him. I said, oh, do it multiple times. Wait, right there. I went and got it out the car, and I sat and I tapped it on my shoulder twice. He broke down screaming and crying. Listen, I told him when they were small, so when they got bigger, they wouldn't try me. Try Jesus. Go ahead and try them, but you don't want to try
Don't
me.
try me.
Okay. I have is an understanding. My youngest one is stubborn, and his mama's stubborn. His dad is stubborn. We all stubborn together. Understand? And I used to tell him this all the time, sir. I have about 30 years on you when it comes to stubborn. I got you by 30 years. Try me. Let's go. He didn't do a whole lot. Every once in a while, we had to bring him back to reality. But he was pretty much a cool one. He'd go somewhere, go sleep, leave me alone. He wouldn't bother with me. My daughter, I don't have to hit. If I raise my voice an octave higher, her whole entire feelings and spirit hurt, and she gonna go cry somewhere. We good. Now, when she get to be a teenager, that's gonna change a little bit. She's gonna have that one moment that her Leo and my Leo gonna come into play, and but karate chop in the throat right quick, and then we're gonna be good after that. We're gonna be
Leave my baby alone.
She got a shake, and she gonna be feeling it.
Leave my baby alone.
And I'm gonna have that one moment, and then after that, we're gonna be good. But that's the history of mamas and daughters. You got to have that one good one, and then y'all be fine after that because they done tested that every last piece of boundary. They realize they mama crazy, and then they don't do it no more. Like, all right. Cause I will embarrass you. I mean, I have to hit her. She's the one that I go and get that awful colored lipstick with the toe up bathrobe and the outfit that's mismatched from the devil and some bad shoes. Come on out to the school talking about my baby. She'll never bother me again. You gotta worry about her. The 16-year-old takes me to the throne of grace because he's the one y'all almost had to bail me out for. Because we not gonna, some of the things that I've had to do with dealing with him, he's too much. And I have a very hard to trigger temper. But there have been moments where I've had to have somebody say, hey, come back. Because I think you black it out a little bit and we need him to live to see I need you to let him go because he turned a little bit blue. Come on, let him go. He's the one that he's my attention kid, but he's that one that has to take me there. Oh, okay. All right. Teaches everything. Elementary was a nightmare. I got called to the school so much they knew me by first name. I knew the staff, the teachers, the support people. I was look. Now my adopted son, my oldest one, he'll tell everybody. He said, "Mom, sure did."
You muted yourself.
Yeah, see, I figured it out. Yeah, he said he'll tell anybody that Mama had me on, and he swear it's a bruise that's on his chest. He swear I put it there. I might have. He might have mouthed it off, and I might have had that good swing and open hand to his chest. That may be what happened, but nobody will ever know. The first time when he came home to live with us, I think the first time he really came at me because like I said, 16, he had to test his boundaries. I was in the kitchen cooking. I'm cutting up a little food, doing this. He said something off the cuff that he talked trash. Oh, okay. And I'm gonna do this and you're gonna do this in my kitchen. He was watching the knife. That wasn't your thing. I'm not gonna cut you. That's not my MO. But when I picked up the frying pan and I started twisting it like it was a tennis racket, that should have been a clue that you might want to move. I got me a good swing. I told his thigh, I got a good swing on that thigh. I told him, I said, I don't know if you think you're talking to, but I will love you to the day you die. But it will be today if you keep on with me. Don't you test me. Because I will give you anything in this world, but you will not talk to me like that. That was when he was 16, okay. 31, and you can't pay him. You can't pay him to go against me. And that was 16 when he did that. He took 2 times. The third time I got petty. I got real petty. He caught my hand. He was 18. He caught my hand because he was Billy Bad Bud. So I kicked him and he looked, Mom, you ain't supposed to lift your leg up that high. So now here's the petty because now he's grown. So now I could be a Leo. I said, how do you think I got your father? You should really come back to the camera. I promise you that was the last time he asked me a question. Each time,
well,
I have to be petty because I'm not the disciplinarian. I'm not going to spank all the time. I'm going to fuss and yell more than anything. If I have to spank you, you've done something. And then I'm gonna come in. I'm gonna tell you why I'm gonna do it. We're gonna find out what was the root cause of you thinking this was okay. Then I'm gonna light you up, and then we're gonna just go our merry little way. Love you, kisses. Love you, mean it. The first time Jamila heard my children in the background was hilarity. Because I was working good. So by the time I got upstairs, I done came in the house, I changed clothes, and I'm just talking to her and chit chat. And I done put the phone, I said, can you hold on a minute? And I put the phone down. I went in the room, I handled all my business, and I came on back. I said, okay, honey, I'm back. Like nothing just happened. She talking about, did you just she said he didn't get his ghost back. You know, he should be going to sleep. He ended up going to sleep now. He good. You do what you have to do to get them into a good place, and you have to do it early. You have to set those boundaries early because, like we've seen on some of these TikToks and not even TikToks on Facebook and all this, where these children are running against these parents, and the parents sitting over in the corner crying. I wish I would.
I wish I would.
I'm not gonna be crying. I'm gonna be if I'm crying, it's because I'm either sitting in jail or I'm sitting at the hospital. Either way, they ain't gonna like me very. Do what my child raised his hand to hit me. I lost my mind. Oh, Mr. Officer, no, I'm waiting right here. I'm not a danger to you. He the one raised his hand to hit me. He'll wake up after a while.
He went
I
crazy,
didn't
so
lose
I
my
blacked
mind.
out.
I knew what I was doing.
That's what I say. I'm fine. He lost.
He went crazy, so I blacked out. That's what it is.
Yeah, he'll wake up after a while. You need to take me. He goes, I already called Child Protective Services. No. Y'all go ahead and take him. 30 days? Go ahead. Ma'am, you act like you don't care. I don't. If he was grown enough to run up on me, he was grown up to take this whooping. That's what I've always told my children. Understand something. When you get grown enough to feel like that you can run over me like that, I'm grown enough. I'm gonna let you be grown enough and go to wherever they take you, whatever foster home you're gonna go to, because I will give you everything out of me.
But then that's motherhood. Going through the process of even through the fighting is our job is to raise productive members of society. And so if that means that we have to hash out all of that negativity and those frustrations and teach them, listen, you got to be able to communicate better than this. No, you cannot do whatever it is you think you want to do whenever you want to do. That's not adulting, and a lot of times when you're dealing with your children, they think that as adults, we're just doing whatever we want to do. I don't want to pay bills. Alas, I have to.
Exactly.
I don't want to. It's not doing whatever you want to do. Sometimes you have to do the things that you have to do. And when I say I need you to go in there and do them dishes or take the trash out, you might not want to do it, but guess what? It is part of your responsibility and you have to. So we can do.
Okay. So as we're talking about
that's just a part of motherhood.
So as we're talking about all these different things, how do you handle mental health? How do you see and handle mental health issues within the motherhood realm, whether it's your kid or yourself? How open are you with your child about it? Whether if it's yours, how open, how much do you tell them? And if it's theirs, how do you help maneuver them through it? And understanding the difference between this is my child and this disease and this is my child just being an outright jerk. Danielle, come on.
I think for me.
Go ahead.
For me, I mean, I think it's everything is age appropriate. My son does not necessarily need to know like full in-depth details of mommy's depressed and goes through depression. That's just my personal opinion. Can I express I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed today. I will literally call him before I even come home from work. I will ask how his day is. And this is before even getting close to home. so I can already prepare him and be in my right space. How was your day? Do you have any more schoolwork to finish? Okay, this is what we're having for dinner. I'm not cooking. I'm not in a good place. I'm getting undressed and I'm getting in bed. And then I'll tell him, hey, let's watch one of our shows tonight. That also because we have shows that we watch together. That also tells him that's a comfort time for us. That's a bonding time for us. I'm not okay. So that's also for him. I check in with him. How was your day? What's going on? Anything you want to tell me? How are you feeling? I check. When was the last time you spoke to your dad? He can't get you when we may not be discussing it in terms of identifying any kind of diagnosis, or because I definitely have high functioning anxiety. I definitely deal with depression. So in that sense, we don't deal with it. But in terms of actually discussing what we're feeling, why we're feeling, and at the time, Darnell was like, "Yo, I'm chill. What's the problem? Like, what's the issue?" So
Okay. Jamila.
making sure I definitely let him know, hey, I'm not in a good place.
For me, it's a little tricky because I did my anxiety and my depression until about a year ago. Even when I got diagnosed with MS, I didn't. I was like, okay, I got stuff to do, and I'm moving and I'm moving and I'm moving, but I never acknowledged. Wait a minute. Because I couldn't do things, certain things anymore, and I was recognizing. Um, so I have gotten to a place now where I have to say, you know what, mom's not in a good place for me. And with my son, I am not a doctor, but I am sure that he has some mental challenges, um, probably closer to bipolar. Uh, but with the government, they won't start testing them until a certain time frame. You have to go through this testing, that testing, and things like that. And so, yes, we're going through that process. In the interim, how do you deal with those things? So I've had to do a lot of self-learning in terms of different skills and conversations to have with him to sometimes talk him off the ledge so I don't jump off the deep end myself. Because when you have two people in a house that are going through certain challenges, it can be a very toxic situation, and that's not what I want for myself nor for my son. Um, so those things are significant. Being able to find those skills that you need to help you. If you have a friend who is experiencing the same thing, listen, I'm going through this process. What are you doing to get through that journey, to get through that process, that I might be able to use with my child? And this is why tribes and villages are so important. You have to have somebody in some place that you can go to lean on. I and as a parent, your job in schools is to be your child's advocate. When I recognize that okay, he's having some learning challenges, and if I know that I'm dyslexic, and there's a possibility that my child could be dyslexic, I have to be his advocate and say, hey, he needs to be tested for this because I've recognized, first of all, I've been diagnosed with it. Second of all, I recognize even though his learning challenge is slightly different, he is having a challenge in learning something. And so there is a frustration there. In school, I ask all my kids teachers, I've always asked them, are you prepared to set my child up for success? On my side, this is what I'm prepared to do. On your side, what are you prepared to do to set my child up for success? I need us to be allies and advocates for this young person who might not have all the words to express what they need. And so recognizing that, okay, he's got some challenges and that I am having to, in my adult years, recognize my depression, recognize my anxiety, and not let what he's going through take me over to the deep end, is a constant learning for me. It's a constant learning. I am quick to call somebody that I know, hey, what about this? What about that? Have you heard of this? Have you heard of that? Should I try this? Can I try that? Because I want to get it right. It might not be perfect, but I want to get it as close to right as possible. Um, and I'm not, and I'm by no means telling people don't do this. I'm not a huge medication person. I don't like taking prescription medication, but that is because of family history. Um, so um, finding different avenues to help keep your child focused and keep them in a good place, um, is important. I believe in in melatonin. Melatonin is a blessing. It's a blessing. And I would much rather do that than have to give my child Xanax. It's That's what it is. I am an advocate of CBD and THC. I believe that they have very strong um, positive contributions to not just physical health, but in some cases, mental health. Now, am I feeding my kids edibles every day? No, no. But I do recognize, from me living in Colorado, seeing people go from Texas to Colorado, there was a great influx of people just wanting for cerebral palsy and seizures and things like that, or for ADHD, for bipolarism, a lot of different mental challenges. There was this great massive influx of people who moved to Colorado for that. They just wanted to help. Not only is it difficult to get your child diagnosed in terms of mental disabilities, but it is also difficult in terms of the cost of prescription medication is ridiculous. It's a challenge. And so, that's another reason why I'm like, oh, let's do something that's more on a natural state of things, and see if we can get this right and balance those things out. So yeah, it's one of those one day at a time kind of things. My kids, probably my oldest, recognized it first, and then my youngest daughter said, hey, you know what, Mom, I recognize that your personality has changed and that you weren't the same mommy that you were. Oh, okay. One is for, that to affect your children to the point of, I don't want to talk to you because you're crazy, or I don't want to deal with you because you're crazy, whatever. So it's one of those one day at a time kind of things. Every day I take one day at a time, but I do deal with it, and I do. For me, it's important that I acknowledge it, that I acknowledge that there is a challenge there, and let's get through it as best we can with the help that we can get.
Okay. this one is a biggie for me. My 16-year-old is diagnosed when he was very young with ADHD. Then as he got older, oppositional defiance. One doctor said maybe bipolar, but I'm not quite sure on that one. So the two that I have a confirmed diagnosis. It made life growing up with life raising him a very interesting moment in time. I deal with depression and anxiety. It made a very interesting. So when you have a battle with a child that has behavior issues and you're fighting your own depression thoughts, it became a great plan for it to go down the drain. And I think Danielle can most identify with, because she was closer to me at that time and understood a lot of what I went through. And she had to walk me through some things. It is not easy to have that type of combination. Mm-hmm. And trying to figure out IEPs and 504 plans and go see psychologists and go to the school for the principal. No, you can't put him out, but can you do this in place? How can we do this? Him having been put out of school. So I had to have these plans so they can't suspend him every other day. Oh, elementary school was a nightmare. I went out to the school enough that by the time the two smallest ones were born and they were growing up, they knew them well. The first oh, she's walking, when they could tell you, oh, she's walking now. Oh, okay, hey, pretty. Oh, she's there. Because they see me in my face so much. But because I was an involved parent, they worked with me and they kept them in as much as they could. But I will tell any mother dealing with it, it's not a joke. Ask for help. Ask for help, because ADHD can go either incredibly okay, you just have to find a plan, or it can be incredibly wrong, because the ADHD turn into oppositional defiance included. And what oppositional defiance is, in layman's terms, is what old folks will call hard-headed, or take that to the next level. If you said no, he was almost guaranteed he was going to do it. And he could fight, nothing. And you can punish him, you can spank him, you can fuss, you can do whatever. And it didn't always process through. He's now 16. He still have moments. And he takes me to the throne of grace. But now you're too old for it. You go ahead and play crazy with me.
Wait, say that again? Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, now he takes me to the throne of grace. But now you're 16. You're a little too close to getting out of my house. Go ahead, play with me. He'll be 17 in July. Go ahead, play with me. I got you right now. Because as much as, and it took Danielle and a whole lot of my village to make me understand that as much as I love and as much as I was pouring, I was killing me. Trying to lift him into a different space, I was killing me. And Danielle, one of the first things she said when she first met me, she says, take your cape off. She said, Superwoman, take your cape off and put it away. I'll never forget that. At that moment, I was a single mom with kids. And then, let's see, it's 5 years difference. Let's see, Chris, the oldest will be 17 in July. The next one will be 13 in August. And then the baby will be 12 in August. That's what I was dealing with. And it got to the point where I was dealing with it by myself. Yeah, it wasn't easy. So when you're dealing with this, and I would give any mother the advice of find a support system, and support may not be your family. It may not be the original friends you thought you had, because everybody has something to say, but nobody's going to be there in them dark nights. Let's be real, let's be honest, let's be raw. When the dark nights come, you have to know what you can and can't do. You have to know when to say no and when to say when. And even now I've learned to say, hey, can you watch kids for a little bit? I need to pull myself away from this situation. because I don't want to go back to the hospital. So I got to the point where I was in the hospital with leaves crossing my chest, and they said, "Ma'am, next time you come in here, you're gonna be having a heart attack if you don't get this pressure down." Motherhood, motherhood is a journey, and you have to know when to say when. And if you don't know when to say when, you have to have people around you that know when to say, "Hey, too far. Come on back. Come on." Danielle, come on. Girl, come get in the car with me. We finna ride XYZ place. I'm like, no, I'm just gonna stay in this bed. She says, I know, no, you're not. You gonna come go get in the car. I don't feel like she can get me out of the house. And if she don't, she phone a friend and they be like, okay, we'll be on the way and we're gonna get you out, because if not, you're going to go down. And they know intellectually that I suffer from depression. That I'm not gonna say suffer. I'm changing my words. They know I battle depression. So, but they also know when I tell them, guys, listen, we in battle mode. I'm not good. I'm not bad. I'm okay. I'm gonna be a little low key for a minute so I can stay okay. Motherhood and mental health, you have to know when to say, I'm not okay. You have to know when to say, I'm not good, and when I'm bad. That's the biggest thing I think I can think to tell a parent, a mother with that particular position going on. Um, so
To even add on to that, besides learning to say, I'm good, I'm bad, don't ask a mom, how are you doing, if you're not prepared to truly get that answer. Because if she truly is ready to give you that answer, be ready to listen to it. Sense, but be ready to listen for that answer. If you if you're not ready for that, find something else to say to her besides how you doing. And then if she says she's fine, don't press if you're still not ready, because you know that person that says, nah, really, how you really doing? And they still not ready for that answer. It happens every Sunday after church. You know that person that says, how you doing? Oh, I'm good. I'm good. You sure you're all right? Well, let me tell you, girl, I'm gonna pray for you. But you just started pressing me to tell you, and I was getting ready to, and you just told me, nah, I pray for you. But so that, yeah. So be ready to listen to her answer, and be ready to answer it when you're asked. So that's a valid point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So next, now is a fun question. When you picture your future in this motherhood journey, because now it's just three mamas on the main line. When you get that final one graduated, and you could do something that you're finally able to do a little bit for yourself. It won't be everything, because even when they're grown, they need us. But your responsibility to them is different once they're grown and graduated. What is something that you're going to do for you once you've accomplished raising them to graduation, raising them to be ready for the next part of the journey? How are you going to celebrate the end of this journey, this chapter, this section? Jamila?
I'm already in that place. I mean, I have my son kind of part-time because he's with his father. And so when he's with his father, mommy traveling. I'm gonna go hang with my sisters. I'm gonna go hang with my partners. I'm gonna go spend some time on the beach by myself. I'm gonna go over the oceans and see some things, meet some different kinds of people. I'm going to, and it's not that I don't want my children to be a part of that, but for me, and I know, all mothers and all stages of motherhood is different. I was a young mother. My first one I had at 20, and then my last one, he was surprised, and I had him at 35. And I was like, oh, I start all over again. Okay. But I was a young mother, so I'm still young enough to be able to enjoy all of those things where, you know, when some of my friends who didn't have kids until they were in their 30s, early to mid 30s, they were out in their 20s partying and living it up and all of that stuff. I raised my kids. And so now, you know, when you're in your 40s, you got a little bit more money to play with than you did when you were in your 20s. So you can kind of live it up a little better, a little stronger, do some things differently, um, enjoy your life, and still be able to bless your children. And so that is what I'm looking forward to the most, just being able to live and enjoy things and have peace. Right now, peace is everything to me. The older you get, and being able to literally be grandma and spoil them and feed them candy and give them back to mama. That's what I'm spoil them, love on them real hard, give them back to mama because chick got to go catch a flight. uh, but that, and still being available to my kids. And the beautiful thing about the day and age that we live in this technology era, is that I can be in Europe somewhere and I could still FaceTime and see my grandson's first whatever. If I can't get to it immediately, um, I can jump on a plane and get to my daughter's XYZ, because graduations and first of this and first of that, I can do all of that stuff. And so for me, that's what the future of motherhood looks like to me, to just be able to enjoy my life in peace and be able to celebrate my children's accomplishments.
Damn.
That's so far away, but so close. Like, I had to sit here and I was like, 4 years of high school. He's finishing up 6th grade, and like that's 6 years. And he already, okay, so I think the plans have changed. The last plans were I had to move to Vegas while he moved to California to do art school and pursue his life's dream in Hollywood as an illustrator, and I had to move to Vegas to live my best life.
Oh, he
Apparently,
made your plans for you, huh?
yes, so I would be close enough but far enough.
Mm-hmm.
But that has changed because he discovered, now mind you, he's finishing 6th grade, that there is an art school in Florida that he likes better. But then his art mentor told him he doesn't have to go to art school, but he still wants to go to art school. So I don't know where I'm assigned to live yet. So I don't know what my future looks like, because I was not voluntold yet. But I will, before we log off, I will check with the boss man and find out where I'm supposed to live. If I have a hut by then. But yes, my plans, just kind of to what Michelle had said earlier, advocating, and you guys have both touched on it, advocating for our youth. So way before this point, I will be on my own clock and I will be doing educational advocacy anyway to bridge that gap between the schools and underprivileged families anyhow. So I'm gonna be flowing and doing that as I please and traveling and doing that via conference call while I'm under getting my groove back or something. I don't know. I'm just gonna be chilling. And as my sense, like, living my best life. But that's so long. Yeah, I haven't. That's so far away from me.
Not as far as you think.
I
I was thinking the same thing. It's really not. Danny, you're on mute, so if you're talking to us, we don't hear you. Um, so it's really not as far as she thinks. I've come to understand that with my oldest. So want to be in a couple of years, want to be in the younger twos. I got some time. I, oh, mama's doing the cruise. Mama's doing the trip out of the country. Mama's doing something. One of the trips I might, take.
Girl, I thought you said the strip club.
I mean, if I get the right one, they can't let me stop. Kids that have a whole fit. And the 31-year-old will be the one in the cart out talking about, Mama, what you think this is? If they touch you, I'm gonna beat that. That's the one I have to worry about because he'd be like, what you doing? Put that back on. And be the one have me cross his shoulders, taking me out of the 31-year-old.
Yes, Daddy.
Right. But I think in once they graduate, because it's gonna be my breather before we get through the next few years of college and stuff. It's like I'm gonna take that time to do something for me. It's gonna be a cruise. It's gonna be something I'm gonna have to take time. May take like you said, a course of something that I want to do just for fun. Something's gonna give. I'm gonna do something big. Just say, okay, whew, I ain't got to worry about them for 3 minutes. Then we got to get them through college. Somebody's gonna get married. I don't know which one of them it is, and they're gonna be the one to give me a headache in the process, Then hopefully, my prayer is that no grandchildren come until after college. At least a technical certificate. Even if they don't make it all the way to college, at least go to somebody's technical school and get something that you can do. Because every college is not for every child. But if you go and spend them 18 months and get that ITT certificate, I don't know why ITT popped in my head, but that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna go to school for 2 years and do HVAC. As long as you do something that you can survive off of, you go to cosmetology. As long as you do something you can survive off of. As long as you do that before you have a kid, because grandma is gonna like Chick said, grandma gonna love them, and I will give you occasional weekend that I will babysit. Sure will. Mm-hmm. Love them to death. Now they might be hyped when they get back to you, but that's not my fault. You knew that when you knew when you dropped them off. Because my mother-in-law did it with my kids. I knew when I dropped them off, I'm about to deprogram them when they get back. She did go for her for the summer. I'm about to deprogram them because she's gonna give them all kind of crap. But I knew that. But I had my time, so I'm gonna give you yours. Understand something? I'm not raising your children. And I saw the tire my grandmother did having to raise us. And although, she'll do it again, but my prayer and my hope is that we won't have to go through that. I want to be able to be grandmama. I don't want to take over your role. I want you to have your role and experience the highs and lows and the beautifulness of bringing a child into this world and growing them to maturation. I want you to experience that. I don't want to take that from you. However, if you get sick or some life happens and I need to step up, guess what? Guess who's going to step up? So it's those things, But it is. But this conversation has been very, very interesting and fun. Motherhood is it's a lot more to it. It's a whole lot more. We can delve deeper. However, it'll start a whole new conversation and we'll branch off into 14 other things that I can think of. And some of them we're going to touch on in the coming weeks. So we're going to go ahead and say farewell. We've enjoyed this show about motherhood. It has been a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I have enjoyed myself immensely.
Absolutely.
With that being said, next week, the conversation is going to be very interesting. We're going to talk about sexuality. As some people say, the alphabet. We're going to talk about sexuality. heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual, just whatever you, wherever you transgender, wherever you fall into that. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna have a conversation. Um, because it's still treated as a taboo subject and it's not. No one should have to hide who they are. And we need to talk, we need to have some conversation about the community and what it really brings. So next week is going to be very, very interesting, and I'm excited to see what's going to come out of it. So I thank you, Miss Danielle, and I thank you, Miss Jamila, for being a part of the show today. I hope you ladies both have a wonderful, wonderful Mother's Evening, and keep celebrating the whole month. You know, we get the whole month, not just this one day. Just saying. Just saying. Okay. So with that being said, good night.